Welcome back to Voice of the Fat Mantis. You're watching my review of both episodes 2 and 3 of The Boys. They've been dropping a lot of content both in Star Wars, Star Trek, all sorts of things are happening. Media has amazingly returned to us. Unfortunately, it's hard to keep up with the workload, so I had to mix both 2 and 3's videos together. 1,000 apologies, and let's get into it. Going into episode 2, which gets a little more high octane, it starts with yet again another parody of media, this time a Lifetime television movie. VTV for Women movie, as they try to rebrand the Deep and try to get him back into the hearts and minds of women. It's possible that the cult he was in made him a vile person, and that now that he's fought against the brainwashing of this Scientology-esque cult, that maybe he's worthy to be loved by women again. And it seems to be working. They brilliantly bring in Billy Zane as the cult leader. Loved seeing that cameo. That was pretty awesome. Now, a lot of this episode has to do with Homelander's birthday. He feels trapped by blackmail that's hovering over his head. He feels controlled on every aspect, and he's just kind of losing his mind. And it actually comes down to a scene where he has to stop someone from hurting themselves. It parodies an all-star Superman comic where Superman goes to the edge of a building and has to talk to a young lady who's troubled. And they take that topic, it's played for gags, and it's kind of played for horror. It certainly horrified me, because when he's supposed to be saving her, he gets the news that the love of his life, Stormfront, is no longer with us. And we finally get to see him at the edge of his rope. The other story is primarily controlled by Huey as he explores something that he believed was a black ops group called the Red River, as I believe it is hinted that they are in the comic books. However, when he gets there, it's an institute, basically a home for supes who are unwanted. Essentially, it's Xavier School for gifted youngsters. And there's a little cute cameo of Teddy Stillwell, that's Mrs. Stillwell's son from season 1. He's a toddler now, and he seems to have superpowers in there. I don't know if that's going somewhere. It could easily just be like an Easter egg and have nothing to do with anything. He could be used later on in the season or in the story. Maybe we'll keep checking back with him. And after Huey downloads all their information, he hacks them, doing some espionage stuff. He discovers that his work wife, Victoria, is none other than a resident of theirs, going by the name of Nadia. She's super powered, but he also discovers a really scary thing. Now, Stan Edgar turns out to be a man who visited her a lot as a child, Vought owning the Red River Institute, and he ends up being a father-like figure to her, cementing the idea that she is deep in Vaught's pocket, and that all the good that he thinks he's been doing, all the intelligence he's been gathering with the boys and handing it over to her is just a new recruiting tool for Vought. Now, the end of this episode culminates at the birthday party where Homelander loses his Homeboy just loses it, and he goes on a very honest rant, and I think we've all been there. You think it's all right to speak, or maybe you don't care where you are. You're tired of watching your tongue, and you tell it how it is. Now, this could be disastrous consequences. Some of us get evicted when we say such things. Some of us end up losing our significant others or our jobs. And obviously, that's on the table for Homelander. But he says a very, and I'm not making this political, but a very Trump-like statement where he is 1,000% honest, not even paying attention to the feelings of humanity in general. He literally says, I'm the only one can help you. I'm the only one powerful enough to help you. So why are you mean to me? In this whole sense. Now, it's interesting. I want you to take a look at Starlight's face when this is happening. So far, they've been having clashing heads as co-captains. They've been clashing heads with his shenanigans and the pranks he's trying to pull on her. And however, it starts with the look of disgust, but if you look at her face, it changes along the way. And I believe that this is a look of sympathy. Now, this is going to be reinstated in episode 3, but I actually do at that moment. I did when I first saw it, was like, she's sympathizing with him. Because one of the things that he says, and I think we all feel that way, is that he's been controlled since he's a child. They control him now, and he's the world's most powerful being. And if they can control him, they control you. And he's sick of being controlled. I think we're all feeling him. Well, I was certainly feeling him right there. Episode 3. Now, episode 3 starts with a beauty pageant on Starlight. And when she was a young girl, she's doing these superhero creepy beauty pageants, and she's forced to sing this really disgusting Britney Spears song. As you can tell, she's anxious. She told her mom she was in pain. She was achy. She didn't want to do it, and her mom forces her to do it anyway. And at the end, you can tell, even though she enthusiastically does it, her hand behind her back is gripping tight because of the stress and anxiety. She's so angry, and she doesn't like it. She's ultimately being controlled. Now, the rest of the episode unwinds into Huey asking some messed up things of Starlight. Now, if she was the love of my life, I would get my girlfriend away from Homelander as fast as humanly possible. But for some reason, Huey, I guess he's on a mission. Or maybe he just doesn't know how to keep a woman happy. But he wants her to stay undercover, which is making her feel abandoned. And however, her ex-boyfriend is on the reality show, and they seem to be winding up. And honestly, Supersonic, the ex, he doesn't even seem like a bad guy. He's not like some sort of scumbag. He just has the unfortunate situation of being her ex-boyfriend, and we, the viewer, are on Huey's side, so we just instinctively don't like him. But he's really, a nice guy. Which is he has driven a wedge between her and the fact that she's starting to sympathize with Homelander and the fact that he's being controlled, and she has a shoulder to cry on through Supersonic. It is not looking good for the future of their relationship. It has to do with, we finally get to see Payback in their full glory. We'd seen some of their episodes, some of their members before, aged up and kind of washed up, but then now we actually get to see them as Grace Mallory tells her tale of Nicaragua in 1984 when she was involved in the Iran-Contra situation. They were create cocaine, smuggling it back into the U.S., selling them to minority neighborhoods, and with that money, giving it to Iran so they can try a secondary revolution. It was a complete scandal, drug dealing, domestic terrorism, horrible things. The 80s. They were a trip, or so I've heard. It's fun. It's really cool. We get to see Soldier Boy. We get to see all the other characters. It was a good time. We get to see the secret origin of Black Noir and the scars and mutification of him. That's really a good time. Meanwhile, A-Train is challenged to fight against a white supremacist superhero who seems to be curb stomping black youth in his area. And he's trying to be apolitical because he's never been a hero. He's never stood up for anything. However, I have a feeling that he's going to start moving toward the heroic area. Homelander, now popularized by his rant and rave. People love his honesty, and middle Americans love his go-getter attitude, very similar to the same people who really were into Trump back in the day. And so he's back on popularity, and now that he feels he has popularity, he decides to do whatever the hell he wants, including harass and threaten his teammates again, ignore the fact that he's being blackmailed, and at one point he even has the Deep, who's desperate to get back on the team, eat his own pet octopus and friend in a disgusting scene. And it was really funny. I really enjoyed that. Homelander also has the audacity to compare himself to Martin Luther King Jr., which is like, what? Finally, at the end, he tries to force a sudden, information out on the audience while they're filming the episode of the reality show. He states that him and Starlight are a couple. #Homelight. And at first she's resisting it. And at first you think she's going to fight him. It's going to be a brawl. She's going to use her light beams on him and they're going to get into it. But instead, her version of snapping is that she goes with it. She embraces it, and she's actually the one to kiss him on camera, national television, which I'm sure a lot of us weren't expecting, but it makes sense. With Huey being a dick, and all the people on this evil version of the side being kinder to her, more open to her needs, it makes sense that she would do this. Now, is she really trying to jump into Homelander's bed? Absolutely not. She's still disgusted by him. However, she will use him to get what she wants, and that's to piss off her soon-to-be ex-boyfriend. They are not lasting. I don't like to give relationship advice, but they are not lasting. So there you have it. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Remember to leave a comment and let me know what you thought about all these theories. I'm loving the boys this season. I think they're doing an amazing job, and I hope you are too. Hope to see you next time. Keep tuning into Voice of the Fat Mantis for reviews, analysis, and all the nerd news that's fit to print. Until next time, ciao.